Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jim Welsh, and I am with Payroll4Construction, and I want to take a moment to thank everybody for joining today's webinar on payroll processing without the process. Today's webinar is a listen-only broadcast, so unfortunately you won't be able to talk or interact with me as I move along, but you can type in questions. Usually I'll wait till the end to answer them. Some of them, if I get a chance to see them, and they're pertaining to kind of where I'm at in today's webinar, I'll go ahead and answer them. But I will give everybody a chance at the end of this to grab my contact information. That way, if you want to schedule more of a one-on-one webinar that's more tailored to your specific company and needs, where we can actually, kind of ask questions and answer questions as we go along, I'll do that. And again, any questions type in, I'll make sure that I answer them by the end of today's webinar. So, payroll processing without the process. So what we'll do here first, again, my name's Jim Welsh. There's my contact info. I will pop that up here again at the end. So what I'll do first is just kind of introduce who Payroll4Construction is, who we are, what we do, kind of how we help clients, how long we've been around for. So we are a standalone payroll service. So, a lot of people, the household names, ADP, Paychex, where we pay your employees, check, direct deposit, pay city, state, federal taxes, quarterlies, W-2s, things like that, but we are an online service. So, in today's world, being able to access payroll data, get payroll in from any computer with internet is very key. So with us, you can access this from anywhere. Today, we have people attending from all over the country. So we do a great job of processing payroll in all 50 states, especially in construction. Many clients we work with, they don't just work in one state, or they have employees spread out through multiple states. So sometimes, the larger payroll providers that are more specific to, they have divisions or offices that are specific to a state or a city, they sometimes can struggle with, understanding state law, city tax law, when you get outside of their jurisdiction. Whereas with us, we have a tax department that does this in all 50 states, and what we really specialize in here is union government prevailing wage payroll. The more complex your payroll is, the better job we do with it. I mean, not all of our clients have that. Some are looking for better job costing, or again, multi-state payroll. But the more complexities that you deal with, the better off we are for you. So on top of just paying your employees and taxes, kind of with union government prevailing wage payroll, there's compliance reports like certified payroll, union, EEO, minority compliance, detailed workers' comp reporting, and things like that we do a really good job with. And kind of at the end here, I'll get into some of those reports and how we can kind of streamline that for you as well. What makes us unique here is that we're powered by foundation software. So 35 years ago, we didn't start as a payroll service. So we started as a full job cost accounting ERP system. Now, I want to make sure everybody knows that we may have clients attending this today that are foundation software users, which is great. It means it's basically already built in, nothing with your payroll process changes other than us paying your employees and taxes. But then there's a whole lot of other clients that use a QuickBooks or some other accounting system, and that's fine as well, as we do integrate with those accounting systems as well. But you wouldn't be familiar with our product, so that's why I'll kind of take you through a little bit of it here today. So some other things here is, like I've already touched on, calculating fringes for prevailing wage contractors as well as union contractors, making sure the calculations are correct. There's reporting for you to submit to, your union or your benefit broker, making sure if you're non-union, if you're already offering benefits, that you can take credit on that and kind of reduce it, as we call it, from the fringe to make sure you're not over or underpaying employees. Workers' comp, especially in construction here, obviously you need it for reporting and payment purposes, audit purposes, but just like employees can move around and move into different states, the same goes for workers' compensation. You have an employee that's doing general labor for a part of the day, but then jumps onto a, piece of heavy equipment and, they're doing operating for the other part of the day. The rates for those workers' comp can be a lot different. And again, you never want to be over or underpaying your workers' compensation. So being able to track that stuff from both workers' comp, job costing, we do a great job of that here at Payroll4Construction. The back end reporting as well. Again, certified payroll, very loose term these days, meaning, depending on what state you're from. California, it's all online now. So you'll see here when I get into reporting that not only can we produce paper copies, if you're in New York, there's 6, 7 different agencies from the Port Authority to the City of New York to, the Department of Transportation. So there's so many of these reports nowadays that, years ago, just finding somebody that says, hey, we can handle certified payroll would suffice if you just needed the kind of standard WH-347 federal form. But in today's world, there are so many different formats via paper, via online agencies that I'll show you we do a great job with. Monthly manning or EEO, minority compliance reporting. Some contractors need this, others don't. The good thing with us is if you do need this reporting today or you don't and you need it down the road, it just is sitting there and waiting because of the way our service and system works. Job labor and burden cost. I really like to highlight burden cost. I'm going to show a nice report here towards the end that really highlights that, to a lot of people, especially services, they understand the highest of high levels of job costing, but they don't understand how detailed it can be, meaning some people are just tracking it to the job. Some are tracking it to the job and the cost code or task, which we can handle. But one of the biggest pieces here is it's not just the hours they worked on that job or work class times the rate of pay. That's a big portion of it. But then there's things like FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp, union or non-union fringes that you contribute to that are all a part of getting you to what the total cost per hour, per employee, per job is. And that's something here we do a great job since we are powered by parts of our accounting and job costing system foundation software. Workers' comp reporting, again, equally as important to track it correctly, but also being able to produce reports that we'll discuss. Other things like 401k, child support, union reporting, all those things we track and we provide very detailed reports for our customers. Usually in my demonstrations that are one-on-one, this kind of gets lost in the shuffle because at the end of the day, if all you need is somebody to pay your employees, check, direct deposit, pay your taxes, your W-2s and quarterly and annual returns, one of the household names would suit you just fine. They do a good job with that stuff. So that's where, again, we become different and why we call ourselves Payroll4Construction. You may be a contractor, but if you don't have any of those complexities from job costing to union to certified to multi-state to workers' compensation detailed reporting, usually not a great fit for, we're not a great fit for you because you can find somebody that will allow you to just report hours, pay the employees and taxes. So I like to make mention a couple times that we are still a service. This is going to look a little bit like software here today, but we would still be just like an ADP or Paychex handling all of these items for you. A few other things that make us different is we integrate with QuickBooks and many other accounting systems. So outsourcing payroll, you can't sacrifice losing your financial reporting, your job costing, your profit and loss, even though labor is a big portion of your cost for jobs. There's other things like material, purchase orders, subcontracts, change orders that are all still taking place inside of the main accounting system, be it QuickBooks, Sage, or any of the other programs. So we can actually push the data back into the jobs, into your general ledger, so that you're not having to do payroll twice to outsource your payroll. Our only focus is construction. You can run into other payroll companies and say, hey, do you guys do payroll for any contractors? And simple answer is, yeah, we have some contractors we do payroll for. But the question then becomes is, well, how many? And again, if these are just residential, no job costing, none of this complex stuff, contractors, technically, you weren't misled. They do payroll for, the residential remodeler that's on jobs for a day or two, that none of that other stuff really matters. But that is not in line with what you do as a business. So we only focus on the most complex construction payrolls out there, which leads you to, hey, this is construction payroll. As much as I wish I could tell everybody today that if you went with our service, you'd never see or hear of a payroll mistake again, we all know that that's laughable. So I always say, no matter how perfect the system or service you're using is, or even how perfect you are as the end user, there's employees, entities, agencies, unions that don't just always pass along accurate information in a timely fashion to the office. So a lot of these mistakes are found out after payroll's done, after guys and gals receive their paychecks. So you're going to need a team to lean on. You're going to have somebody you can call that understands your type of payroll, the mistakes, why they were made, how to rectify and correct them quickly. And we have our own homegrown support. So everything that we do here is all done by us, from the time you meet with a salesperson to the time you work with your trainer to get all this set up, all the way to the time you go live and you need support. So these are things that you'll be able to call us 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or Eastern, or 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific, and you always talk to a professional that works directly for us that supports nothing but construction payroll. Now, for today and for time purposes, again, we can all meet one-on-one to talk more about how this may fit specifically to your company and their needs, but getting time into us can be as simple as logging in to enter it. You'll see the portal here or the online program in a second. Some people are using some mobile device already, and they're fearful of, hey, I'd like to outsource payroll and change payroll to you, but I don't want to change things in the field because it's, the guys and gals in the field, once you get them using something, changing it on them can be detrimental. So you can use a different mobile app that can export time that can be uploaded to us. We do have our own mobile application as well. So if there's nothing in place and that's something of interest, of course, during a one-on-one demo, we can cover that as well. And then again, can access this any computer with the internet, anytime. And also your employees, they're always on the move. They're in different places. So, it's tough sometimes to take pieces of paper, whether they're live checks or they're actual direct deposits, and get them out to field employees because they're always moving around. So we even have a portal where employees can go right into online where they can see their pay stubs, their vacation, all that stuff. And then we are also building out an HR package where onboarding and, kind of more interaction with the employees from the field can be done, should be available September of this year. So, kind of just starting to see the construction industry from a field standpoint start to advance and get more, tech savvy per se, where we can make from field to office lives easier with this type of a technology. Okay. This here, I'm going to drop down for a second. I'll pop it up again so that people can write down my number, my name, my email, and stuff like that. But now what we'll do real quick is we'll bounce into the actual platform. Again, if you're a foundation client sitting here today, because I know we have a little bit of a mix, you're not going to lose the modules you already have, AP, AR, time material. So again, for non-foundation users, you don't have to buy our accounting system, but we just give you access to the payroll portion of it. And that's kind of how you get your payroll done. For foundation, it's as simple as, hey, instead of posting and paying your employees and taxes, you just click submit. Your reports don't change or anything like that. So I don't want to mislead you into thinking that by going with Payroll4Construction, your reporting is going to get better or any different. It's more for the non-foundation clients that, are using a QuickBooks or an ADP or Paychecks, where we'll get into some of these reports that should be able to help you out. So in here, we actually have tables. So one of the biggest things we boast here is controlling things by job. So even though an employee may be set up to say, hey, I'm an employee from the state of Ohio, I make $20 an hour, but depending on where that employee floats to, they can float into a different state where there's a different state tax rate. You can control that on the job record. They may go from a private job to a prevailing wage job that has a schedule of rates where we can break out the pay rates and the fringe rates, and then those can be connected to the job. So when people think about streamlining their payroll, it's always, the last part, getting those reports that they're used to doing manually, and things like that. So these here, whether you're non-union, they could be prevailing wage tables with rates, and then there'd be a fringe table. That way, if you do need to reduce anything from the fringe, or if you put that fringe into some supplemental plan you set up, we could make it non-taxable and things like that. Now, if you're union, we don't pretend to know every rate for every union across the country. We do rely on our clients, be it their union or be it their non-union, to tell us, hey, we got a new prevailing wage scale, or they go in and enter it, or they provide us the union updates, and then we can help make sure those are set up correctly. Especially for union, it's nice that we have effective dates. So even if these wage scales are going to change and that change takes place July 1st, which happens to fall midweek, that's okay with us. We could change them today. Payroll can be entered, imported, pushed in through our mobile app, and it'll use the old rates for, let's say, Monday, Tuesday, new rates for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, moving forward. So all these things that are very unique to this type of payroll, all of our clients deal with it. So even a question somebody tossed up there was, what about manual checks? Yeah, so I get to a part of, hey, we need your payroll a couple days before payroll. You submit it. We pay your employees and taxes. Then we jump into reports. But that's another thing while we're talking union or even some non-union companies is that, hey, if I terminate somebody, they can't wait till next Friday for our check day. We need to pay them now because we're powered by parts of an accounting system that has the ability to print. Our clients have the ability without calling us at any time to go in there, enter a time card, or again, upload it, and then hit print paycheck, mark it as an in-house paycheck so that they could do that and keep moving. They don't have to wait for us. And then the next payroll that comes along, we're going to post them so they hit job costing, certified, union, all the reports we need them in. That's why we want this to take place in the system always. And then all we're going to do is pull the tax money through, and then, they can keep moving. So, okay. Now, fringes, again, going to depend on if you're union or non-union. If you're union, they're dictated out. So we're going to set these up, customize the names. Our system does not come preloaded. So as you look at this today and you see things that, hey, I would need that, but I wouldn't need that, that's okay. This is a 5 to 6 week process upon saying go, because we don't want to just pay your employees and taxes. The big part is streamlining the not just middle part, paying employees and taxes, but the beginning, middle, and end, from getting the payroll in smoother, getting it done, and then you can basically go ahead and get your compliance reports. Okay, hours worked versus hours paid. This is beneficial for both union and non-union, because even if this was, let's pretend, a $20 an hour non-union fringe, well, we don't want overtime calculating on it, meaning I have to pay that $20 per hour of overtime they work, but I don't have to do 1.5 that calculation. It can stay straight, as we call it. So same with us. We can handle all this stuff. Now, employees, currently, you're putting them in. We don't have any onboarding software at this point. That will come out in September. So that's one of those things where, again, some people, it's like, hey, you're a little behind the 8 ball. We feel we're right there on time because, we've seen people and partners of ours where they buy that type of software, and the field employees, it takes longer to get them onboarded because they're on the phone with the HR manager the entire time because they don't use technology well. So, we will have that in September. But for now, the employee record for time purposes today, we like to keep these to about 30 minutes and then give you guys 5 or 10 minutes to ask some questions. So employee records, nothing, underwhelming or overwhelming there from that standpoint. And then workers' comp will set up and track, and I'll provide reporting here at the end in there. So what a typical client's life looks like after we set this up, after we train them, and after we do a couple test payrolls is basically 3 things: jobs, time, and reports. So putting in a job, simple as a job name or number, checking a box for certified payroll, potentially attaching a union or state tax or prevailing wage override on the job. So putting in a job takes, 10, 15 seconds per job, depending on, what needs overridden on the job record. There is no limit. Somebody asked a question. There's no limit to the number of jobs in the system. Nothing's going to ever air you out in our system for too many jobs, too many work classes, cost codes, or the employee worked in too many states or had too many rates in a given week. Nope, that's what this is built for. So there is no limits to any of that stuff. Now, the other thing is time. You got to get time in. So again, there's entry screens we can build for you where you can enter time by job or time by employee or a combination. Again, for time purposes, if you're on a mobile app and you wonder if we integrate, you can feel free to email it to me and I can let you know. Most of them out there we do, as long as they can export to Excel, text, or CSV. Or again, if somebody wants to look at our app, I can show them that as well. I always kind of try to help guide people and let them know, hey, if you're not using a mobile app today and you look at ours and you want to use ours, that's great, but learn to crawl before you walk, before you run, meaning trying to launch a brand new mobile app at the exact same time as you're launching new payroll software can be catastrophic, meaning you can't expect the field employees to learn something that you don't quite have a grasp on yet, or you don't know, because they're not going to be calling us. They're going to be calling you. So we like to, hey, get a couple payrolls under your belt, then roll something like that out. Whereas if you're already on an application, we can integrate that day one. Export, import, no problem, because they're already using it. So there's no learning curve for them in the field. And then you submit. We integrate with QuickBooks, other accounting systems. We push the data back. General ledger, job costing stuff, depending on the system, will depend on the level of detail we can go to. But that's basically the flow. And then it's just reports. So for example, if I need a workers' comp report and I just needed class totals, I can see the hours, the earnings, exposure, rate, premium, and totals. But if there are discrepancies of, well, it's audit time and they want to know why you pay 530 or why do you have 536,000 in gross earnings but only pay on 495? Well, devil's in the details sometimes here, where I can get in and see by class, the employees, the hour or the earning type, and the hours. So if there are caps, whether it's class, employee, or more commonly earning type, it's going to break that stuff out for you. Okay. All right. Now, EEO minority compliance. Again, I'm not going to click on all these for time, but as you can see, we get specific with the states. Like there's even one in here, I haven't ran an update yet, but California has one now. So yeah, we program that. I mean, we have to have that. That's what our clients need. So, from state to state, city to city, you're going to see we have all these different options for this reporting, like electronic. If you're in California, and I go in here to print one of these in a second, if I'm just giving you a piece of paper, it does help you a bit. But if I got to still re-go key that into LCP Tracker or EMARS or one of these, well, now I've done payroll twice in essence, because I typed it in or imported it into my payroll system or payroll service, us. But now I got to go take it and by job, rekey it all in again. So depending on how much of that work you're doing, you could be doing payroll 2 or 3 times over. Whereas with us, once the payroll's in, you click the button and then it uploads it directly to the agency. If you did need paper, again, you're just going to see here as I click this drop down, wherever you're at, if there's an agency, state, city specific format, we put them in here, we update them. So whether you need the federal or one of these other ones, you just hit run, put in your date range, and then what will happen here is that it'll produce all the information there, so including no work performed. Other reports, 401k files, reporting, employee earnings, we have all that stuff. I'll show this one here. Burden employee and job summary. I can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, but what this is showing you here is my guy Rick, he makes $15 an hour. So 40 times 15 gets us to our 600. Again, if we look at just this from an employee earnings and job cost standpoint, we're missing all of this stuff. So from FICA to FUTA to SUTA to workers' comp, general liability. This is a non-union example. If they were union, we'd have our union fringes. But it's letting us know that Rick costs us $18.41, not $15 an hour. And it's also letting us know our job cost numbers are not these numbers here. They're these numbers right here. So big differences there, especially depending on what state you're from, what benefits you got to pay out and stuff like that. Okay, last but not least, so I can open it up here for some questions, is union deduction fringe summary. I can come in here. I got my company name, date range, union, my employees, the hours, the earnings, total into each benefit with a nice little summary page. Now, 2 things I didn't mention in regards to reporting is, look, every report has a criteria page where we can say, add this, don't add that. And we start getting these reports unique to each client, not even each client, but each end user, because user A might want to run a report that looks like this for a certain reason. User B might want to run it a different way. have it look like this for a different reason. So we can actually make this work for multiple people from one company, save each report the way each person needs, put them in their quick links. There's, of course, security settings and stuff that can be put in place. And then all of our reports here can be printed, PDF, Word, Excel, or CSV. So you're going to have visibility both before you submit your payroll, anywhere from earnings to hours. Here's a classic example. This report's running by employee, but if somebody today wanted to know how many hours we have on the Lakewood recreation job for the day, the week, the month, the year, it's an open date range where you can run these reports for however long you want, or just the current pay week. In 3 clicks of the button, it looks like the same report, but now it's running that same report by job. So again, print, PDF, Excel, CSV. So the reporting is a very powerful tool in this system. It's why people buy our accounting system. It's why we decided to say, hey, you don't have to buy our accounting system. We now have entered the payroll service market because there's a need for it where we can just be your payroll service, integrate it with other accounting systems, and still provide you very detailed reporting. So at that point, I'm going to open it up for some questions. I answered a few of them already. There's one here I'm going to answer, so people can type in their questions, and then I will answer each question. So somebody's asking, what is customer support like? Do you have an assigned agent to each company? Some people don't like this answer when I say no, and usually I'm getting that question because that person has had experience with the big name companies where, hey, I taught my support rep how my complex payroll works, and I finally got them understanding how it needs to work, and poof, they're gone. They're on vacation, they're out sick, they quit, they got fired, they got promoted, and it's back to the drawing board where you have to train them, the new person, all over again. The reality is those companies, their bulk of their clients are not, complex construction companies like we deal with. So up front, you get one trainer. They work with you first couple months, get you off and running. After that, to quickly get to people, to be able to have them not wait, not be frustrated, we have a live receptionist who takes your call, because what I like to tell people is this: every client is just as valuable and as important as the next, but every client's issue isn't, like it or not. Some people, it's, hey, it's payroll day, and I need this fixed now, or I need help with this now. Some people, it's, hey, I got a workers' comp audit next Friday, and they want me to get this information gathered. Can you give me a call when you have a chance? Yeah, if we're slammed that day and it takes us 2 hours to get back to you, you're not going to be upset. So we do have group support. The good news is they only support clients like you. They are handpicked by us, hired by us, trained by us, and they're overseen and managed by us. So our support is all done locally here in-house, right out of our Cleveland office. Okay. Somebody says, who builds the unions and updates the file? So we can help with it, but really, you know what I mean? We get you versed on how to do it, and it becomes quicker that way. I mean, again, we can help, but, it's one of those tricky things where it's like, we like our clients to be a little bit more self-sufficient there in that. Average cost for each employee for the payroll service. It's not, what I'll have you do is email me after. It depends if you're weekly, bi-weekly. There's a few bits of information to it, you know what I mean? So it roughly $50 a week and $210 per employee, or $70 every bi-week and $235 per employee. Again, anybody after this who wants pricing, you can just email me and I can just shoot you over the pricing sheet to let you know the cost for W-2s, quarterlies, startup costs, stuff like that as well. Somebody asked me to put in my info again, so I just wanted to throw that up there. So somebody, this is a foundation client, is saying, what would you say is the biggest difference between foundation's payroll system, meaning owning foundation and doing payroll in our full accounting system, versus Payroll4Construction? For you guys, a lot of this stuff I just showed, it's like you get all this. You own foundation. You get the prevailing wage. So the only thing that we do for you as a foundation client, pay your employees and taxes. It's that simple, without you having to go to a third party, jeopardize ripping your payroll out of foundation, doing it twice, doing journal entries, losing billing. The only benefit to a current foundation user is the fact that, hey, um, you know, is the fact that, hey, you can continue to pay your employees in taxes, or for said price, you can offload that to us without creating any other issues, meaning keeping your beginning of your process the same, your end of your reporting process the same, just removing the middle part. Whereas non-foundation clients, they can kind of get that benefit of the union, the prevailing wage tables, the certified reporting, all that. If you're a current foundation client, you already get that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, let me see. Did I miss anything? No, okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what. Anybody wants to have a quick conversation, email me, call me. We're not an aggressive company where you don't have to worry about us calling you every day. We know this is about the right fit, but also the right time. So if you just have questions, email me, call me. You want pricing, formal quote, anything, let me know, and then I'll be happy to help. So again, thank you. Hold on, Kim. Oh, I'm sorry, Kim asked, do you do ACA reporting? So we do have a department that does ACA reporting. It's not Payroll for Construction itself. It's a different department, but the answer is whether you're a foundation client or you're not a foundation client and you just use us for the payroll service, we absolutely can do the ACA reporting as well. I apologize about that. Okay. Anybody else I missed your questions? I'm assuming if I don't hear from anybody, I think I got them all. I apologize about that one. Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a great day, and hopefully I'll hear from you soon.